Welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy super fan.
Kimmy, Buffy newbie, but like, how much more of a newbie am I? Because we're over halfway through the show.
TBD. You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube and Instagram, with new episodes on Tuesdays. Okay. I told you. You're a newbie until you're not a newbie, which means you have to see every episode. I will not require from Ashley's Buffy certification. You are not required to watch Angel. You are not required to read the comics.
What?
The canon comics.
Yeah, I'm not doing any of that.
So just the show. You've seen the movie, so that's a little plus
I love the
in
movie.
your
Okay,
column.
great. Thanks.
So once you finish the show, you don't have to do any of the extra things, and I'll say you're not a newbie anymore.
Okay, that's
So believe me, there's more. The Buffyverse is vast.
okay.
So
maybe I'll read the comic books. Actually,
I have all of them. So
I don't want to watch Angel though. I heard it wasn't very good.
we can segue to Angel for a minute. It's a very different show. It's more dark. It's more like film noir. It's more of like kind of like a crime mystery kind of thing with obviously supernatural stuff in it. But it's kind of a little bit more, I don't want to say adult.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've watched every episode.
Just one
time. There are episodes I've only seen once, but like the last season, for reasons we will not talk about, I watch it more than the other seasons. But Angel came on right after Buffy. So I watched it it straight through.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
And then
you were still jonesing for Buffy, so you needed something.
I will take anything, honestly.
You need something to keep you going.
They're coming out with a new a little children's book, a Buffy children's book, and I was like, I need to get that. And it's like
cute,
I already have one children's book of Buffy.
Oh.
So yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
Whatever, the Buffyverse. Like it's been 25 years.
Oh my god.
That it's been off the air.
I feel so old. Okay.
And they're still coming out with new stuff. So I need it. I don't want the well to run dry. So yes, even then I was like, give me more. All right. Okay. So Restless. We are at the season 4 finale.
So I got the question right. It was cheese. I mean, I didn't say cheese
you're right.
slices. So I wasn't particular, but I did say cheese.
No, you were right.
Before we delve into this episode, who was that guy? I'm sure he's somebody I'm supposed to recognize, but I'm like, who is this person? Cheese slice guy?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, good. Okay, because I was like,
just like dreams are weird.
Okay, but I just was like, is he somebody from, because they did bring in some past people in some of the dreams, and I was like, is this somebody I'm supposed to remember from somewhere? Okay, cool. Okay.
No. But yeah, you're right. It's cheese.
Okay.
Cheese man. Cheese I wear the cheese. The cheese is not
cheese slice man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like when he just came in and was like,
he was really weird. Yeah, I didn't understand.
He was weird.
I don't understand why. Did you have you watched Twin Peaks?
Yes.
This gave me obviously a much PG more version.
Yeah,
but it gave me Twin Peaks vibes this episode.
It did. Okay.
It was just so weird. Yeah, very David Lynch-ish, I'd say.
Yeah. R.I.P. Yeah, I think I didn't like Twin Peaks.
I didn't either. It was
Matt loves
weird.
Twin Peaks.
I liked the first bit, but then I feel like I guess I was waiting for something to resolve a little more, and it just spun out and was weird. And I don't know. It didn't really have there was no closure for me, maybe. And I guess I need that. I don't know.
Yeah. So
and that's what this episode was.
Yeah, I totally get your point that watching it for the first time, you're like, okay.
What the fork?
Like, all right. Again, in hindsight, it's a very important episode. Because
sure
there's a point, but
there's a quote particularly at the end that I'm curious about, because it was just so, it seemed very,
I think I know what you're talking about. I'm going to say ominous.
Ominous. Something, but I don't know. I mean, there was not that quote. I think that you're thinking of, but actually one Buffy said, where she said something like, I talk, I shop, I whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very particular quote, and I was like, that's just so, I had to I actually Googled it to read it a few times, because I'm like, what is this? This means something. I don't sleep on a bag of bones or something like that. And I was just like, what? That is very weird. And I'm like, this means something, obviously.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good quote.
Let's go.
So Restless originally aired May 23rd, 2000, written and directed by Joss Whedon. So, it's an important.
That really is 25 years ago. Oh my God.
Important one. And the synopsis is: a primal animal force stalks Buffy, Willow, Xander, and Giles in their nightmares as they each come to face with their worst fears. All right, so this is only one of 2 episodes where we do not have like a lead in.
Oh, okay.
Like we go right to the credits.
Oh.
The other episode is in season 6. So Buffy is talking to Riley at her house, and he's going for a air quotes debriefing with the government.
It almost sounds like he has to testify to something.
Yeah, and he thinks he's gonna get off with a honorable discharge because like Graham and other people are like testifying for him that he's not like a traitor and everything.
Exactly.
He was trying to take down a bad initiative or whatever.
And Willow's like, it's like you're blackmailing the government in a patriotic way.
Yeah. Needs to be done sometimes. So he's leaving, and Joyce finally meets Riley, which is interesting. Right. It just happened. We see it happen.
That's right. Okay.
It's funny because, like, very, very early on, Buffy was like, Giles, this is my boyfriend, like, to her, air quotes, dad. Mm-hmm. But she didn't meet Joyce until all the way here.
Well, Joyce and her aren't super close anymore now that she's off at college.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was funny, like, rush to Giles right away to be like, this is my boyfriend. Riley and Joyce have now met. So Riley leaves, and Xander, Willow, Buffy, and Giles are going to watch movies.
And have a movie night.
They're having a movie night.
Is like, aren't you guys tired from all that weirdness that just happened? And they're like, no, we can't possibly sleep.
Yeah, they're wired from the spell still, the joining spell. And so Joyce goes up to bed. She's like, well, I'm tired. Good night. So I'm going to bed. So they're going to watch Apocalypse Now. That's what Xander wants to watch. But
I've seen that before. Actually.
No? Never?
No. Mm-mm.
So it's like a Vietnam War movie, if you have no reference for it.
I don't, and it sounds like something I don't need to watch.
So they are not interested in that.
Nope.
And I think he ended up putting something else in, but I don't think we actually found out what it is.
I don't think we found out what it was, yeah.
He's like, I have other things. And then literally you see like the FBI warning come up on the screen, and then it goes back to them and they're all asleep.
It was so funny, that FBI warning. I was like, right, those used to be on VHS tapes.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't steal this. And then Napster was like, oh yeah. But Napster hasn't come around yet, I don't think.
And we'll like look at us now with our Netflix and Prime Video.
And you never even hold anything. No. It's all just you buy it or
why would you
stream it.
Stream it.
You buy it digitally and it's in your little it's in the cloud or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so we go to Willow's dream first.
Yeah, we kind of zoom in on Willow.
Let's break this down.
This is how I'm gonna deal with the dreams. We'll just go through like face value what's happening. Okay. And then at the end of each of their dreams, I'm kind of just gonna be like, this is important, this is important, this is important. But I'm not going to tell you why.
Okay, great. I would like that because
some of this stuff is purposely like, dreams are weird and random things happen to them for no reason. But I'm just going to highlight some things that... Okay.
Well, I feel like some of the things that happen in these dreams are, they're obviously particular to each person that has a dream. Some of the fears they have kind of come out in them, which is interesting. But okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. We have Willow is, in her dream, and she's talking to Tara. Tara's, like, laying down, and Willow is, like, drawing, like, a spell.
Tara appears to be naked.
Yeah. Or at least bare-backed, anyway. Yeah. And she's, like, painting, like, it looks like some other language on her back while they're talking about this. So they're talking, and they're talking about trying to get Kitty Fantastico a real name. But that is her name. Like, maybe we should tell us her name. And Tara says basically, you don't know anything.
Everything about me.
You don't know everything.
You don't know everything yet. You don't know everything
anything,
yet.
But that's not what it says.
No, you don't know everything yet. I haven't told you everything yet. Or something.
Tara says you don't know everything about me.
I thought that was interesting, actually. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that is an important thing.
I thought so, yes. It did strike me as... Also, sorry, really quick sidebar. Mm-hmm. Tara in the dreams is very interesting. She's much more confident, and she doesn't stutter at all, and she's just very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially in Buffy's dream, she's like uses the conduit.
Yeah.
For somebody else. So
I just thought that was really interesting. Anyway, okay.
no, yeah.
So that's important. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I thought so.
And he also says that Tara says to Willow, like, they will find out and, like, they'll punish you. Like, they're going to find out. They're going to find out. That's a big recurring thing in Willow's dream, is that they're going to find out.
Oh, I think I missed that one. Who's going to find out what?
That's the thing. So Willow looks out the window or, like, pulls back the blinds, and there's, like, something moving, like, in the brush.
It's creepy.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden she's walking in the high school. Because that's what, at dreams, you just switch locations randomly. And Oz and Xander are in the hallway, and they're talking to her about she's going to take drama class. And so she goes into the class. This is supposed to be the first class. And it's actually like, oh no, like today is our production. Like, we're ready to go. Riley's there in a costume. Buffy's there in a costume.
Riley's a cowboy.
Riley's a cowboy.
There are no cowboys in Death of a Salesman, people, by the way.
And she does say, like, what's that? What's up with that? Because, they are doing Death of a Salesman. And this is a dream. Weird shit happens. And also Harmony is there.
Harmony. Oh my God. I keep wanting to call her Chastity.
Chastity.
I don't know why. Oh my God. I'm the worst.
Harmony's there. And it's interesting that it kind of harkens back a little bit to that scene that we saw with Willow and Harmony at like a graduation when they were like, oh, I miss you and all this. Oh, they kind of have a weird moment like that.
Fake. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're there too. And interesting, Buffy says to Willow, oh, you're already in your costume. And Willow's just wearing like her normal clothes.
Yeah.
And apparently I have this dream all the time where I'm supposed to like go on stage and do something and I have no clue. Like the words, the lyrics, the lines. Yeah.
I've never had that dream.
I have it a lot.
Huh.
And this is what Willow's having. So she's supposed to go out and do this play and she doesn't know any of her lines. She doesn't know anything.
Well, and then also Buffy was like, oh, your whole family's in the front row and they look angry. And it's like,
yeah,
let's add fuel to that fire.
Break a leg. Yeah.
Giles is the director?
Giles is the director and he's getting everyone. He's like, everyone Willow has ever known is out there, including us. So let's like have the best, really ramping up the anxiety for Willow. And that's when they say, like, we're doing Death of a Salesman. And then we see our first Cheese Man cameo where he's like, I made a spot for the cheese slices. And he's just a cup. There's just some cheese slices out on the table.
And I like how Harmony just vamps and it's okay and normal. And she's pretending to bite Giles. And he's like, oh, stop it.
Yeah.
I was like, what is weird? This dream is so weird.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right. And then Willow kind of goes into, like, the wings and Tara's there, and they talk, and again, Tara says, if they find out about you, they will punish you. If they find out, this is kind of recurring. And Willow's kind of like, if they find out what? Like, Willow doesn't even know, like, what she's talking about. Oh, like arms and
Tara disappears, and then all of a sudden these things start coming out. Like a bloody knife comes out and a weird creepy hand, and, like, Willow, like, basically falls on the ground and is, like, freaking out, trying to get away from these things, and then Buffy grabs her, and they walk out of the curtains, and the play's over.
And they come into a classroom. And Buffy's saying, oh, what was it? What did it look like? So Buffy's like trying to like patrol, like, find this thing that attacked Willow. And they get to the front of the classroom and Buffy says, the play's over. Like, why are you still in your costume? Like, you're still in your costume. And from Willow's kind of POV, we see Buffy kind of tear off stuff of Willow and then sit down in the front of the class, and the whole class is full now.
And I thought this was going to be naked Willow, because I know that's a dream that people have, being naked in front of class, but it's not.
Yeah. So we go to look, and the whole class is laughing at Willow in her very first costume on the show. Like, the first time we ever see Willow, this is what she's wearing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it seems like a normal outfit. I don't get it.
Well, her hair is long. It's like, this is Willow at the beginning of the show. This is the very
but why
first.
is everybody laughing now?
Because she was like a dork. Like, she was like a geek.
I like that outfit. I think it's adorable. Okay.
Remember, this is when Cordelia said, oh, you look like you've seen the softer side of Sears. This is what she was wearing when she said that to her.
Oh.
Yeah. And Willow's trying to give a book report of, like, the, was it the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or the Chronicles of Narnia, or whatever?
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And then Oz is talking to Tara, and he's like, I tried to warn you. Yeah. And they're, like, laughing at her.
Yeah, they're both, like, kind of, like, whispering. It's, like, her past lover and her new lover.
Wow.
And, yeah, so she's, like, pretty humiliated. And so then that thing that was, like, kind of stalking her attacks her.
Bites her?
And kind of, like, it sucks, like, her life force out of her. Yeah, like you can see like she kind of prunes up. And then we go back to the actual reality living room, and she's kind of like struggling. Yeah, like she's struggling. Okay.
One of the other, sorry, really quickly, one of the other things in that dream, though, was they said it 2, maybe even 3 times, maybe twice. Something about Willow needs to stop stepping on everyone's cues. And they said it so many times that made me think that might be important at some point, too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
So, obviously, you don't know everything about me is important. There's a lot of like little things where there's stuff from the past. Like, Willow getting like stage fright in the puppet show and stuff like that, but that's not like foreshadowing. But there's a lot of like little Easter eggs to the past episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
And like when Willow says it's not Madame Butterfly, is it? Like they're because that's when they had the Nightmares episode. That was what she was trying to sing.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, the big thing for her is you don't know everything about me from Tara, and then basically she feels like she's like reinventing herself. She's like she's come a long way since like their sophomore year of high school. And she kind of still feels like she has a little bit of an imposter syndrome. And that everyone's just going to realize that she's still a dork or she's still a geek or whatever. And there's a lot of that in her dream. But the big thing for her is the Tara telling her that. Willow is kind of like in her sleep, like struggling, and then we go to Xander, and in his dream, he wakes up from his dream in his dream.
Yeah, and I thought at first he was actually waking up, but no.
Right, and they're all watching TV. Willow's kind of still struggling. Movie, right? They're watching Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, okay.
And they're watching the movie, and then he says he has to go pee, so he gets up and goes upstairs to the bathroom, and Joyce is standing in her doorway of her room.
In her robe.
In her red, long robe and nightgown. And essentially just, like, comes on to Xander.
Yeah. And he flirts back.
He flirts back. And she's like, do you want to come in here and rest? And he's like, sure, let me just pee first. So he goes into the bathroom and is peeing. And he looks over and there's all these, like, scientists, like, observing him.
That's really weird. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to go find another bathroom.
You know what? I'm going to go find another bathroom. So he walks into a different room across the hall, which turns into his basement.
Right. And it's like creepy, though. Like it looks creepy and there's this weird rattling.
Yeah. Somebody's trying to open the upstairs door.
And he's like, that's not the way to go outside or something.
That's not the way out. Yeah. So he walks out a door in the basement and he like goes to a park.
And he finds Buffy, and Giles is going to teach Spike to be a watcher.
Yeah, so Buffy's playing in a sandbox. Right. And Giles and Spike are swinging on the swings. They're both wearing, like, tweed suits. And, yeah, Giles says that he's going to train... Oh, Spike says that Giles is going to train him to be a watcher, and Giles says, Spike is like a son to me.
That's weird.
All important.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Or relevant. It's not just like stupid dream stuff. And Xander goes over to Buffy, who's playing in the little sandbox, and says, that's a big sandbox. And she calls him Big Brother, which isn't really it's not a spoiler. It's not like a foreshadowing thing, but it's basically his subconscious. Like I think he's known this for a while, but like basically he's acknowledging like. They have a brother-sister relationship because, he had feelings for her for a long time.
He did.
And that's not like, that's not, he's not holding on to that. Right? They're friends. And she says, I think he says like, I can't protect you. And she says, it's not coming for me yet, which is important. Huh. It's not coming for me yet. And then he sees himself over in the ice cream truck.
With Anya,
and then he is there with Anya, and she's talking about getting back into the vengeance game, and he's kind of trying to talk her out of it.
Yeah.
And then he turns around, and in the back of the ice cream truck is Willow and Tara, like looking very sexualized.
Yes.
Very sexualized. And they kiss off screen. So like we hear we're just looking at Xander's face. And then they say, do you want to come back here with us? And I was like, go ahead. Like, yeah, I'm
like,
threesome with
I can, what is she, I can emphatically steer or something?
Yeah, she's like, I can steer by just like wildly like moving my arms.
Gesticulating? Yeah, she's
yeah.
so weird. That was really
weird. Reality Anya is weird and Dream Anya's like, what?
Next level.
Next level. Yeah, so he basically goes back into the back of the ice cream truck.
Tries to, but it's just like the longest truck ever. Like it takes him forever to get back there. And then when he finally tries to get back there, he just ends up in his basement again.
He ends up in his basement. He keeps coming back to his basement.
With the creepy rattling.
Yeah. And something is still trying to get in on the top of the stairs. And the cheese man shows up here and says, the cheese will not protect you.
Is that supposed to be important?
No.
Okay, good.
So then he goes through the door again, downstairs, not the upstairs door. And he's in the high school, and it's kind of a green lighting situation. And something's chasing him.
Yeah.
And he comes across Giles outside eating an apple. And he's like, oh, something's happening. Like, something's coming after me. And Giles says, oh, I know it's something about that spell we did.
He said, yeah, it's because of what they did.
What we did, yeah.
What we did, yeah.
And he's like, this is what you need to do. And then he just starts speaking in French.
He does, yes. So I missed a lot of it because I had a kitchen appliance going while I was listening to it. And the French voiceover actors were quieter than the normal voices. But I did catch at one point he says, it's not time for your idiotic games.
Mm-hmm.
Which made me laugh.
Yeah. He said, there's not anything in there that's too important. Like, they have it offline, like what he said.
But it's just funny that like the whole point is that here's what you're going to do and then you can't understand it.
Of course you can't understand. And then Anya runs over and she starts speaking French too. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know what you're saying. And then they drag him off. And then he's kind of like in Apocalypse Now. He's a soldier in the jungle.
Yeah. And
he gets brought to this place where Principal Snyder is there.
Of course.
And he says, basically, your time is running out. Something I can't fight. Yeah, he sees Giles, and then he's like walking through the dorms, and then he's back in the basement again. And again, he says, like, that's not the way out. But he does walk up to the bottom of the stairs and look up at the door. And the door opens, and we never met his dad or mom, but we can tell it's his dad. His dad, because he's like, your mother's crying her eyes out and all of this.
And he's like, what, are you ashamed of us?
Yeah, because you never, like, come up here. So his dad walks down the stairs and turns into this thing that's been stalking them and rips Xander's heart out. Like, punches through his chest, like kind of like Adam style, and rips Xander's heart out.
It's really weird.
Yeah. And then we see Xander also struggling, like, in reality, like, in his sleep. So then we go over to Giles, and in his dream, he is trying to hypnotize Buffy with his pocket watch. And then this is really interesting, because then he goes to a, like a Slayer training carnival.
Oh, I just realized it was a carnival. And like Buffy seems like she's a kid now.
Yeah, Buffy is Buffy, but she's like in overalls and she's acting very like juvenile, like a toddler. And Giles and Olivia are with her pushing a stroller. So it's kind of like that's his kid. Him and Olivia's kid is Buffy. And they go to this training carnival where it's like for Slayer for training, and she has to like throw a ball at a vampire.
Right, okay.
And she then eventually puts like some mud on her face.
Yeah.
And then he says, I know you, to her. Spike runs out of his crypt and says, guys, come on, you're going to miss it. Come in here. So they go into his crypt, and he basically says, I'm selling myself as an attraction. So he's like, people are like, ooh, ah, like he's like, I don't know. Giles has like a sideshow attraction, and he's just like posing, and they're like taking pictures of him. And only his are in black and white. His shots are in black and white. And then you see Olivia sitting on, a tombstone or whatever it is. What is that?
A mausoleum?
It's like a big coffin, like the stone coffin or whatever. Okay. Sitting on there with the stroller, like crying. Spike says Giles has to make up his mind, and Cheese Man.
More cheese slices.
More cheese. He shows up too. And then they are then he walks into the bronze.
Yeah. Okay,
where
I thought so.
Willow and Xander are like they're doing like their like normal research, but they're doing it at the Bronze.
Right. And like Xander has an open chest wound.
Yeah, not good.
Just hanging out.
Yeah. And Anya is up on the stage doing stand-up.
Oh yeah, it's like open mic night or something.
Yeah,
she's trying to tell a joke.
Trying to tell a joke. And they're talking about Willow says that this is something that we did with the spell, and it's really some kind of primal animal force.
Yeah.
That's obviously coming after us. And then Giles gets up on the stage and sings a song about what's going on.
Yeah.
And how he has to warn Buffy and all of this.
And the spell must have released some sort of primal evil warrior beast or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the cable from his microphone gets pulled, so he follows the cable to like a big pile of cables at the end, and he pulls out the pocket watch.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to keep calling it the Force for now.
Okay.
So then the Force, it comes up from behind him, and it basically like starts to like cut his head, like cut his forehead.
Like as it's happening, he's like, I think he says,
he says, you never had you don't do this or something like that. He's like, you never had a watcher.
no, yeah, and I can cripple you with my thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, that's when
The dream ends.
Giles' dream ends, and he's like struggling. So Buffy is in her dorm sleeping, and Anya is next to her, like in like Willow's bed, asking her to like please wake up. And Buffy rolls back over and sees that Force above her bed.
Yep.
And then she like wakes up kind of like from a nightmare at home. And she gets up and she looks at the bed and she's like, Faith and I just made this bed. Because do you remember in like the dream they shared, they were making a bed and talking?
Yeah.
She's like, Faith and I just made this bed. And Tara says, but who did you make it for? And Buffy looks at the clock. It says 7:30. And I can't remember if she says this. It's so early or it's so late.
But then Tara says something like, you haven't even begun.
Oh, she says, well, also she says like that clock's all wrong.
Oh, yeah, she does say that.
This ties a lot into the Faith dream. Because Faith says, counting down to the 7:30. And now we get 7:30. And Tara says the clock's all wrong now. Okay? This is important.
Oh, God. Okay.
It's all wrong. You don't know what's to come. You don't know what you are, Tara says.
And be back by dawn?
Yeah, so Buffy leaves and Tara says, be back before dawn. Tara says it after she leaves, yeah. So this is very important. I would say this is probably one of the most important scenes.
Okay.
So on campus, Buffy is looking for the gang. She's looking for her friends. Mm-hmm. And Joyce is living in a wall in campus.
That's so weird. She doesn't seem upset.
She's like, hey, this is totally normal. Yeah. Buffy's like, it seems kind of dirty.
Yeah, there's a mouse playing with my knees.
And then she sees Xander and tries to go after Xander. So I put some room. I'm assuming it's like some initiative room. It's a room we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And she sees Riley was made Surgeon General.
Oh, yeah. And he's plotting world domination.
He's plotting world domination with some other guy.
Yeah.
Who is the guy that played Adam.
Oh.
That's Adam.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Okay. That's the guy that played Adam.
Touch.
And for a minute, you see the Force behind her. Mm-hmm. And she does say something like, what were you before you were Adam, or something like that. And he's like, it's been so long, no one remembers, or something along those lines.
And I was so confused by that because I didn't realize it was Adam. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? Okay.
So that was like human Adam, the human part of Adam before you. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's all these like demons coming up behind her.
No, and then they're like, we need to make a fort.
A fort out of pillows. That's what they're going to do. Get some pillows. And then she has this bag of weapons at her feet. So she opens it and it's just mud.
Yeah. And she just smears it on her face.
Yeah. She like puts like a nice mud mask on. And then she like walks forward. It's like becomes sand, which becomes a desert.
And this looks like Joshua Tree, by the way.
They actually I've read where it is actually, but I can't remember
like
where it is. Yeah, so she's out there just in the desert, and Tara comes to talk to her.
Yeah.
And basically says she's basically being a conduit so she can like speak to Buffy. And that the Force, this like woman, this like primal woman is there, and Buffy realizes that she's the first Slayer.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Sanaya is her name.
Okay.
She's the first Slayer, and she's basically saying that she has no friend. We don't have friends. We are alone. Like, basically, we are just about like the killing. Like, that's our job, and we are alone in the end with it.
Yeah.
And the cheese man shows up as well. But Buffy says, like, give me my friends, like, release my friends. So Tara, as Sanaya, says, the Slayer does not walk in this world. Buffy says, I walk, I talk, I shop, I sneeze. I'm gonna be a fireman when the floods roll back. There's trees in the desert since you moved out, and I don't sleep on a bed of bones. Now give me back my friends. So basically what she's meaning, what I took from that, is that this first Slayer was in a very much different time situation than she is.
Yeah.
Because Sanaya doesn't have language. She does end up saying something in this episode, but she doesn't really have language. And like she said, there's trees in the desert since you moved out. So like the landscape has changed. Like lots of thousands of years have gone by. And she's kind of like a modern Slayer, and she wants her friends back. Yeah. So that's kind of what I took from it.
Okay. And then they start fighting.
Yeah, they start fighting, and eventually, they just have like a slow motion, and then like a normal motion fight, and then I think Buffy says like enough, and then she wakes up on the floor of the her mom's house, of like the living room, and Sanaya is there, and she just starts stabbing Buffy in the stomach.
Yeah,
but
Buffy just says, "I'm going to ignore you."
Yeah, like this isn't actually hurting Buffy. Nothing's happening. And then she wakes up, and they all wake up at the same time.
They all wake up. Yeah,
they all wake up. Anyway, so they're all like in the kitchen, and Giles is like, "Oh, I know what happened. There was joining a spell. It was a front to like because we called upon the like power of the first Slayer, and that was like a front to that power. So they, it had a problem with it. So it came for us in our dreams."
Okay.
And they're all like, "Whoa, that was like crazy." And Buffy's very affected by it, even though she doesn't really go deeply into what she saw or what was told to her. And she says she's gonna go like take a shower. And they're like, "At least you didn't dream about that cheese guy." And they're all like, "Oh, well, yeah, we did dream about the cheese guy."
Yeah, right.
And then she is walking towards the shower. She stops and looks in her room, and she hears that, like, "You don't know what you are. You don't know what you don't know what's to come."
Right.
And like that's the end of the episode.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So very important stuff with Tara in the bedroom. I would say that's probably the most important part of her dream. Okay. And also talking about like her thinking about the first Slayer and like the root of her power is a big thing. Is going to be a big thing.
Okay.
Where her power comes from and like what it's rooted in. So that's important too.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is Restless. It is. I will, as we go on, when there's something that, and when I remember that this was relevant to this episode, I'll tell you. So you can kind of be like, oh, So my favorite quote was the one I just read, where Tara says, "The Slayer does not walk in this world," and Buffy says, "I walk, I talk, I shop, I sneeze. I'm going to be a fireman when the floods roll back. There's trees in the desert since you moved out, and I don't sleep on a bed of bones. Now give me my friends back." That was my favorite quote.
Okay.
And then, the Buffy Sanaya, like, confrontation between, like, the first Slayer and the current, well, Faith's the current Slayer, technically, but the current-ish Slayer, that was my favorite scene.
Okay. I think I have the same favorite scene. Mm-hmm. And then my favorite quote was just that funny one at the beginning where it's, where Willow says, "It's like you're blackmailing the government in a patriotic way." Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, very Willow. Okay,
what was
so
your steak rating?
My steak rating, I gave it a 4.
Okay.
I tried to take both of our viewpoints, a first-time viewer and like
I appreciate that.
Okay. into thing. I know it can be difficult to watch. It's not the most entertaining episode because it's all about hindsight with this episode. It's all about hindsight. Very important hindsight. So like looking back on the whole show, or there are things in this episode that stretch to season 6. So it's very important in hindsight, and that is hard to see when you watch it for the first time. So I understand that. So that's why I gave it a 4. And I don't rewatch this episode often. So I gave it a 4 for its coming importance.
Okay. Well, I gave it a 3 because I don't know its coming importance. And it just seemed like weird and out of place. And I don't know. I feel like I appreciate that they're doing the foreshadowing thing, but I think they could have done it differently. I think they could have made it a little more organized. It seemed very chaotic and just, I don't know. For someone watching, like, honestly, had I been watching the show up until this point, like, let's say it was a new show that I had been watching, I probably would have stopped watching at this point after this episode because they
wrapped everything up.
Yeah, well, they wrapped everything up so nicely and neatly.
Yeah.
And I've done that before with shows where I'm just like, okay, I think I'm good. And just, like, okay, like everything was all wrapped up and then they did this weird episode and I'm like, all right, I don't know if I need to continue. I don't know. Like, I think The Handmaid's Tale, for instance, like I watched the first 3 episodes of that and then I was like, But then I actually just restarted watching it, but I took like years off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can be mean sometimes. But I will say, I am intrigued by Tara telling Willow she hasn't told her everything yet. So I want to see what's coming with that. I did like some aspects of each individual dream because they did like kind of, we've done this before, talk about their fears and their like issues that they struggle with. So like Willow with, feeling confident and like, I guess, confident basically. Performance, I guess. She has issues with performance or just stage fright type things. Giles, I don't have a lot to say about him. I liked how they showed him being like a father type figure to Buffy. I don't know, the stuff with Spike was just weird, so I don't know what was going on with that. Xander's dream, I thought that was interesting with Xander's dream at the end with his dad and his heart getting ripped out. I was like, ooh. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, I'm wondering what kind of parallel that has to his actual real home life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, we know it's not good. We know his home life is not good.
No, it's not. So that's.
And also something I want to mention that I forgot was that they are killed in their dreams the way that they are like joined in the spell. So Xander's supposed to be the heart, so his heart gets removed. Willow is like the spirit, so it's like her life force is taken out.
Okay.
Giles is like the intelligence, so his brain is going to be cut out.
Got it. Okay, that's interesting then. Okay.
Yeah. So what they bring to the table, essentially, like the Slayer, the Scooby table, that's like how they get killed in their dream.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's Restless. Is there anything else you want to say about it besides thank you next?
That's exactly how I feel about it.
I'm glad like you have to be forced to watch the rest of it because now like
I can be a fickle woman when I'm watching TV. I can just be like, whatever.
Because I hope I'm not overselling it too much, but
I'm very curious to see season 5 because I know it's your favorite.
Season 5.
I know you do.
Okay, so we will do the postmortem in the next episode, but we are going to just do Kimmy's question for season 5, episode 1.
Okay.
Which is called Buffy versus Dracula. Yeah. Start off with a bang. So very fun episode.
All right, what's the question?
Buffy versus Dracula. What ruins the gang's day at the beach?
Well, I could say Dracula, but Dracula can't go outside during the day, so the weather, rain or a storm or something.
Okay.
I don't know. That would ruin my day at the beach.
Yeah, would. Okay. All right, so that wraps up season 4, episode 22, Restless. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl All the World Pod. You can also email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with the season 4 postmortem. See you real soon.
Bye.